depending on where you're listening in from. Welcome to this live broadcast of the Make More Placements podcast. Today, we're going to be answering the question, how do I attract more high fee paying clients into my recruitment or search business? Before we sort of dive into the content, if you're listening live on Facebook, drop a comment in the comment section below and let us know. So if you're watching live, write the word live. If you're watching the replay, let us know by typing the word replay. Let us know where you're tuning in from. If you're listening to this, the replay of this on, YouTube or iTunes or, Spotify or wherever, make sure that, remember to subscribe and leave a review, and make sure to join the Make More Placements Facebook community as well. That's where these episodes go live first. Today, we're going to be answering the question, how do I attract more high fee paying clients into my recruitment or search business? So it's going to be sort of a slightly different format to what we usually do, rather than sort of, the structured teaching. I'm just going to put in this question to you, Terry, for the answer. Before I get the answer to that actual question, what I want to ask you first is, why is it important to for someone who a recruitment or search persona to be considering looking for ways to attract more high fee paying clients?
Yeah, I think you start with the why, and the why would be, if you own a business, if you own a recruitment and search business, the majority of recruitment and search business owners that we speak to, they set up the business for two main reasons: freedom and wealth. But here's what we know: unless you've got the wealth, you haven't always got the freedom. And freedom, what I mean by that is to do what you want to do when you want to do it, to work because you want to work, because it's a choice rather than have to. It's about being able to drop the kids off at school, be able to pick the kids up. It's being able to go on holiday when you want to be able to work from, and all the things that can possibly come with working for yourself. But that does require finance. That does require money. So the other freedom that business owners set up is that's freedom to earn the money that they believe they deserve. So many recruitment business owners we talk to, we say, why did you set up a business? And they say, well, I was employed by XYZ. I was billing, 200, 150, 300. And I was earning approximately a third of that. Let's say as a perm recruiter, typical perm recruiter will earn about a third of what they're generating. And I kind of figured that, well, if I go for my own, I could generate the same amount, but probably keep a half to maybe 60% of that. It depends on where you are in the tax. So that's the reason why. And one of the things with recruitment, I'm sure you'd agree, Drew, is that to call yourself a recruiter or to enter the market is quite easy. You literally need a phone and a computer. And you can say that I'm a phone and the computer, yeah, and you can then call yourself a recruiter. So what it means is, because the cost of entry into the market is quite low, there's a lot of competition out there. An underperforming consultant gets fired tomorrow and set up on their own the following day, and then competing with you in exactly the same market. So because there's a lot of competition, a lot of people enter the market, and they're thinking, for many recruiters, if I just go in slightly below everybody else in terms of price, and maybe do go for the volume business. So if I go for, if you imagine a candidate pool, so to speak, in the shape of a triangle, at the very top you've got the CEOs, the managing directors, that type of thing, and there's very few of those opportunities at the top. And at the very bottom you'll have entry level roles, or maybe more manual roles, and there's lots of opportunities there. So the logic that many recruiters or recruitment business owners have initially is, if I go for the volume business, then that's how I'm going to get to where I want to get to in terms of freedom. All the evidence, though, suggests it's quite the opposite. Before I move on, Drew, I just want to get your thoughts on what I've said so far, whether that makes sense to you.
No, yeah, it makes sense. I think, again, it's not even just with pricing. I think most recruiters set up and then they look at what the market's doing and try and set up an average based off that. But I think, from my point of view, I think when you think about it logically, everyone would agree. Like, if you could get paid more for, if you're a recruitment search business owner right now, and you get paid higher fees, get paid more for the work you're already doing, your business would be a lot better off. You'd be a lot more profitable, have a lot more freedom, as you mentioned earlier, have a lot more cash in the business as well. So I think there's lots of reasons to, at least be exploring the idea of, looking for ways to attract more, higher fee paying clients into your business.
Yeah. And and what we know is we work with recruiters across the world and at all levels. But whether you're recruiting a role at 200,000, whether you're recruiting a role at 50,000, it's the same amount of work. In fact, the more senior the role is, the easier it becomes. So let's say that your fee is, just to make it easy, let's say your fee is 30% of the base salary. You've got one role here at 150,000. It means that your fee is going to be 50,000. You've got another role here at say 50,000 base salary, which means that your fee rather is going to be what, 17,000. You can get a 50,000 fee, or you can get a 16,000 fee doing exactly the same amount of work. However, and speaking from personal experience, it's just easier at the more senior level. The candidates tend to be more professional. The candidates are more likely to attend the interview. The candidates are less likely to ghost you. The candidates they're not less likely to accept the role, and then the day they're due to start, give you a call to tell you that their grand's died again. You don't get that with the more senior level roles. And ultimately, as a recruiter, you have a choice. So whatever you're doing right now, whatever level you're recruiting at right now, is your choice. Other recruiters have made a different choice. So our recruiters right now who will invoice $1 million a year every year, but they're recruiting at salaries of 150 plus. They're getting fees of 30, 40, 50,000. So those recruiters are only doing 2 placements a month, every single month, and they're generating 80,000 a month.
Yeah.
Or you can do this, or you can still do 80,000 a month, but if you're getting fees of, let's call it 15,000, you've now got to do 4 times as many placements to generate the same amount of income. But it is your choice.
Yeah. So like, break it down for me, Terry, right? If you imagine that, you're a recruitment or search business owner, listen to this right now. You've already got a reasonably successful business, established business, but you want to sort of go down the path of, you want to know what to do to bring in more high fee paying clients into your business. What would you do? If you was in that situation, what would be the first things you'd think about, first thing to do, to sort of break down some of the thought process behind?
Yeah, I'm going to do it not necessarily in this order, but I think first thing that springs to mind is having a well-defined niche. There's a saying in recruitment: the narrower your niche, the broader your appeal. So a generous recruiter that says, yeah, I can do that, that, and that. So I can do finance, I can do sales, I can do operations, I can do HR, I can do senior management, I can do entry level. All the evidence suggests that the individual that says, no, I'm just an expert in this area, this is my niche market. The other advantage of having a niche is easier to dominate a niche market rather than trying to be all things to all people. So being a bit silly here, but kind of bear with me, Drew. If you'd made the decision that my niche market is going to be dog groomers, so I'm going to target dog groomers and I'm going to recruit senior roles for dog groomers worldwide. And by the way, why not worldwide? Because we're working with recruiters all over the world that will target worldwide and do exceptionally well. So now you can position yourself as the leading executive search firm for dog groomers worldwide. And your messages to dog groomers is very particular to dog groomers and all the challenges that dog groomers face right now. And from the dog groomers' point of view, as they're reading your email, as an example, if you're saying things like, if you're a dog groomer looking for executives, then keep reading. And the dog groomer is now thinking, wow, these guys understand my market. And all the evidence shows that the more you can position yourself as an expert, the more credibility you have, the more authority you have, the less resistance you have to your fees. So that's why it's so important to have a well-defined niche and then embark on a marketing campaign to position yourself as the authority in that niche. Thoughts on that, Drew?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, in any walk of life, any industry, any sector, there are going to be prospects who are willing to pay a higher fee, right? There are going to be, the services you offer as a recruiter, they're going to be worth more value-wise to certain types of companies, certain types of businesses. And I think for the most part, you think about how we operate as buyers. If we're going to spend a premium, we want it to be with a specialist, someone who's a specialist in the exact problem that we have. You can be a generalist who's just as good as a specialist, but the perception is a specialist is always going to be better. They're going to have a better, again, it's all perception, it's not even real, but they're going to have a better track record, better whatever. I think the better you can position yourself as a specialist with a particular type of client, the ones who are going to pay you a higher fee, and then a better chance you stand of winning those people over. And I'm going to say specialist, I mean not just in terms of the the service you offer, but also the content you put out, how you talk about the service you do, job titles, everything. The more specialist we can be in the way we talk and communicate about what we do, the higher fee we're going to get. I do want to sort of take you back a step, Terry, because in that example there, you said, you use dog groomers as the example, but you said senior roles, right? And one of the things that we talk about with our clients is, there's two ways to get a higher fee. One is to operate at a higher salary, and two is to charge a higher percentage, right? So if you're charging 10% now, to charge 20%, for example. And the other one is to, rather than working at 50K salaries, you work at 100K salaries, but you still charge the same percentage. Can you just explain the thought process behind the two, and why you need to be looking at both if you want to get or higher fees in your market?
Yeah, so we kind of touched on the first one. If you're recruited 150,000 or 50,000, and let's say your fees is 10%, just to keep it really simple. 10% at 50,000, of course, you're going to get 5,000. At 10% at 150,000, you're going to get 15,000. So same amount of work, but you're getting three times as much. The other point that Drew made there was, Drew, was about charging higher fee. There is this perception by some recruiters that their market buying price alone. And here are the facts, by the way, and Drew touched on this as well. There are out there what's called premium buyers. So the hiring managers that will pay for a premium service. And they're more likely to do that for what we call business critical roles. So if you're doing an entry level role within an organization, the hiring manager may not consider that important enough. But let's say you're doing an executive level role, be it finance, IT, sales, or whatever. Those type of individuals are going to have a big impact on the bottom line. So now what the hiring manager is looking for is the best candidate, not the cheapest candidate. So they're prepared to pay a premium. Let's say, make it really simple. If it's a sales role, if you recruit at that level and you said, look, I'm going to identify the top 1% of sales professionals in your market right now. And when they join your organization, they can add this to your bottom line. Your fee then, as a recruiter, almost becomes irrelevant because the hiring manager wants that top performer. I think a better example, we're talking to recruiters. So any of you here as recruiters, if I said to you, hey, listen, I can introduce you to a recruitment consultant that can come into organizations and add an additional 200,000 to your revenue over the next 12 months. My fees, by the way, are 33%. And the candidates that I'm going to put forward, their base salary is going to be, so I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible. It's going to be 30,000, and they want to earn a third of what they bill with you. Most of you here now will do the math on that and go, it's going to cost me 10,000 to recruit them, but they're going to generate 200,000 in the next 12 months. They'll earn a third of that in commission, so they're going to earn 60 to 70,000. I'm in profit already. There's going to be less resistance to you as a recruitment business owner, me making that proposition to you, if there's a guaranteed return on that investment. I just want to check in. Is this making sense, Drew, what I'm saying here?
Yeah, you're basically saying, price based on value rather than, rather than the cost of the service, I guess. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. So anything you'd add to that, Drew?
No, yeah, nothing to add really. I mean, just to hammer home the point, I think the more value the candidates you place have to the organization, the more flexibility you have in the price. The more I think the more value, the more critical the position is. So the hiring manager is going to be more likely to go for the specialist, go for someone who they think, who's got the authority in the market. And two, the more flexibility you have with the pricing, because the return on investment is going to be a lot greater for that organization as well. which I think is very important. So I guess the point I'm getting from you, Terry, is like it's more about who you go after rather than the strategy you use to go after them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I think
100%.
a lot of the time, especially when I'm thinking about our clients, they come to us and they think they need a new marketing strategy to reach these people. When often it's not about a new strategy, it's about just making sure you're going after the right people, getting clear on who it is that you want to go after, build an authority with that market, and then using the same strategy you're probably already using, but for those people instead. Anything you add to that, Terry?
Yeah, and also because you made a good point there, being crystal clear about who you want to work with, but also crystal clear about who you don't want to work with. And your marketing should be designed to attract who you want to work with, but repelling those people that you don't want to work with. So, if a hiring manager says to you, "Well, look, here's how we operate. We only work on contingency. We're only going to pay you 10%. We're not going to pay this invoice until the candidate's been with us for 9 months," and stuff like that. Honestly, do you want to be working with them? If they're treating you like that, like the hired help, you're probably better off saying, "Well, look, if you don't value and respect what I'm bringing to the table, it's probably best that I don't work with you." So, and you've got to be crystal clear about who your ideal client is and who you don't want to work with.
100%. So another sort of point I wanted to sort of bring up, Terry, right? Because we speak about this a lot. Pricing is one of my favorite topics. It's one of I think the quickest turnaround in results you can get for a recruitment search business, if you can get them to charge more for what they're currently doing, is something you can do quite instantly as well. I mean, if you think, if you're a recruitment or search business and listen to this right now, you have everything, you've already got all the assets you need to go into your next sales meeting and ask for a higher fee, right? It's really easy to do. But it's probably the area we get the biggest pushback, right?
Yeah.
You talk a lot about the link between self-esteem and the fee you're able to get. I guess how does the way a recruiter views themselves or view their service have a direct impact on the fee they're able to charge?
I'll share a story. I'm not going to mention any names. That would be unfair. But about 3 or 4 years ago, I posted a post on LinkedIn rather about one of our clients who got a fee. I think it was 38,000 UK sterling. What's that, Drew? About 42,000 US. And I just posted. I didn't give the name of our client or anything, but a couple of recruiters said that figure was disgusting and nobody deserved that. What does that say about the recruiters? What does that say about their own personal self-worth? What does that say about the recruiter who got that fee? And what's it say about, because the recruiter who got that fee actually said, "This is what I'm worth." By the way, she charged 50%. It was retained only, and she got 50% of the fee up front as well. Because she said that was her own personal self-worth. You see, no recruiter, no business can charge more than they believe they're actually worth. And if you try and charge more than you think you're worth, that's where the discomfort comes from. If you don't think you're worth 30, 40, 50% of the base salary, if you don't think you're worth 40, 50, 60,000 for the placement of a candidate, that creates a discomfort. And one recruiter said to me, "But honestly, Tay, when I fill these roles, some of these roles I can fill within the week." But the client isn't paying you for how quickly you fill it. Your value is in your expertise. Your value is in your skill, not in the speed. It's irrelevant how long it takes you to fill that role. What impact does that filling that role have on that business? Let's say your fees are 50,000. If the hiring manager's done their numbers, they will know that they will more than make that money back. Especially the role at that level, especially if they're going for funding, especially if they're a public listed company in the share value. Do you think they're honestly concerned about your fee as much as you are? Here's the other thing worth considering. It's a question I often ask recruiters: are the recruiters in your market right now charging less than you? Invariably, there will be. "Oh yes, there's some really cheap and nasty recruiters out there who charge a lot less than us." Okay. And are there recruiters out there charging more than you? Well, yeah, there is a few that are charging a bit more than us. So your pricing is mid-range. Talk me through the strategic advantage of being mid-range. Surely better to be the cheapest or the most expensive, but being in the middle, Well, we charge 18%, which that's mid-rate. There's no strategic advantage in being a mid-priced recruiter. And if a client says to you, let's say you're one of the cheaper recruiters, and the client says to you, why would I work with you rather than your competitors? And your response is because we're the cheapest. Are you happy with that positioning? Work with us because we are the cheapest. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't work as a strategy. I'm not saying that you won't get business, but you will attract a certain buyer that's looking for the cheapest recruiter. But by the same token, it's worth asking the hiring manager, do you want the cheapest candidate or do you want the best candidate? Explaining to the hiring manager that they can't have both. We can get you the cheapest candidate or we can get the best candidate. Which one do you want most of all? Which one's more important to you? In my experience, like 90% of hiring managers will say, oh no, I want the best. Thoughts on that, Drew?
No, yeah, I agree 100%. It always makes me laugh when, quite often you speak to a recruitment search persona and, I'll say, why don't you charge more for your services? And then I'll say something along the lines of, this is the market rate, my clients won't pay anymore. Often they're on contingency anyway. And so I always ask the question, well, do you think you're the most expensive recruiter your clients have ever worked with? And the answer is always no. It's always like, we never know, but it's probably not cheapest, it's probably not the most expensive. And it's like, well, why not be the most expensive? Why not be the one who gets the higher fees? Why not be the one who gets to work on the best roles and ones that have most value to the organization? Why not be positioned as the number one player in your sector? And there's the only reason is gonna reflect back to your self-esteem. Like, do you think you deserve it? Do you think you're worth it? And I think the more you can work on your mindset and get I guess more you can work on how you perceive the value you deliver in the marketplace, the higher fee you can start commanding, and the higher fee you'll get as well. And I think, it also comes down to, we didn't mention this, but just to finish up, it all comes down to how good you are at business development and how good you are at marketing as well. I think sort of goes in hand. The coaches who get the highest fees most often are the ones who have the ability to create the most opportunity. Right, they have the most sales meetings, which means they can make the most offers, which means they can walk away from business that isn't quite at the fee they want, and they're more likely to get the ones that are at the fee they want. Terry, does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. And the other thing to add, I remember talking to that quite recently, 2-3 weeks ago in the UK, and we looked at his fixed costs and we looked at the number of placements he was making. We were able to calculate approximately that his average cost per placement was about 6,000 UK sterling. So his average cost per placement was 6,000, and he had 3 other consultants, and sometimes they were making placements at 3,500, 4,000. So sometimes when the consultants made the placements, the actual cost per placement, they were losing money on those placements. Now, from the consultant's point of view, they're kind of thinking, I don't care if I do enough of these, I'm gonna overachieve my target. And that's really important if you're working on contingent. And it's really important as well when you work. Sometimes some recruiters, they work on PSLs where they've got this signed agreement, so they get this volume of work. So they may get 20 job orders a month, but in fact, they only fill 5 of those. So, and that's the industry norm, by the way. Most contingent recruiters will fill between 20 and 40% of the roles that they work on. So most of the time they're working and not getting paid. But if you're going to do that, you'll be better off charging more. And incidentally, if, as we're talking about this right now, and it's creating discomfort in you in any way whatsoever, that says more about you and how you feel about your own self-worth, about you charging more. It's not about the message in of itself. It's how you're interpreting that message and what it means to you internally. And we've had some, I think it's fair to say, Drew, some heated conversations with some of our clients initially around fee. And it's all what's going on up there. Any discomfort, it's just your own self-worth. Some recruiters, and by the way, and you've got a standard, some recruiters say, I won't go below 12%. And other recruiters, I won't go below 10%. And others say, oh, that's just your personal standards.
Yeah.
There's other recruiters say, hell, I'm not going below 22%. Who's right? There is no right or wrong. It's just personal standards.
100%. That's all we have time for today. So again, Terry, thank you, Terry, for your insights. Again, remember to like and subscribe if you're listening to this episode on any of the podcast platforms, and make sure you join the Make More Placements Facebook community to get these episodes live. We'll speak with you again soon. Until then, take action and be relentless.
Thanks a lot.